And welcome back to the show. Exalt is a New York City-based not-for-profit that's elevating expectations for youth involved in the justice system. The organization actually demonstrates the power of effective educational engagement as a viable alternative to criminal justice involvement for today's young people. The powerful combination of structured classes for tangible skill development, individualized support to navigate the education and justice systems, placement and paid internships, and an alumni network of resources equips youth with the tools and experience to avoid further criminal justice system involvement. Our next guest is actually dedicated her career to creating and leading organizations focused on ensuring equity and justice for court-involved youth. Joining me now to share a little bit more is the Executive Director of Exalt. Pleased to be joined by Gisele Castro. Gisele, good to have you.
It is so nice to be here with you, Daren. Thank you so much for the invitation. I look forward to this afternoon's conversation.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk a little bit about youth. And when we talk about youth in the criminal justice system, obviously, it's a very painful thing. When you walk around and you see youth in incarceration, you can go to courtrooms and see a lot of youth engaged in the criminal justice system. But I know that you have given a lifelong work to court-involved youth. Talk to us a little bit about the work that you do.
Sure. So, for the past 2 decades, as you're highlighting and, sharing, it is very disheartening to see so many young people involved in our juvenile or criminal justice system. And, as we all know, the US, unfortunately, we're so behind with our youth academically. And then also we have a lot of progress to do in supporting them so that they can move, for those who are involved in the juvenile justice system, to move away from the system. And, overall, my years of work has been really dedicated to advancing our youth. When we talk about the youth, we really are looking at New York City, young people who are coming from some of the most impoverished, neighborhoods and districts. And, this stems from my own experience being born and raised in the Bronx and seeing how many bright, talented, gifted individuals we have, and how quickly it is for a young person to enter the juvenile justice system or criminal justice system. So, looking at bright, intelligent, gifted young people, it really is just offering them an opportunity. And we have done it at Exalt with an educational internship project to advance our young people to think through not just their career, but more specifically, what is it that they would like to do with their lives? And our data begins to suggest that 95% of our young people are not reconvicted of a crime. They're making advancements academically. And more importantly, I would say that at this point, they're happy. And thank you for the question.
Yeah, no, and when we talk about young people obviously making advancements, they are making advancements. Too bad that we don't always report the good that young people are doing as well. But for those that are really caught in that system, I know that you've done some work with policy and advocacy. What is it that you're really focusing on these days presently?
Sure. So these days presently, when we understand COVID and its implications, and we begin to understand the challenges that many of our young people have, presently what we're working on is very 2 specific areas. It is making sure that those young people who have court requirements are, completing their court cases, knowing that the courts are closed at this point in time, but more specifically that our young people still have a component and a space for them to integrate, to begin to think, to begin to plan, and to create a better future for themselves. When we look at time, at this point, we're about to enter the first full year of COVID, its anniversary. And it was March 9th that this organization pivoted. We went and we entered our Zoom platform, and we began to give our young people computers and data plans, knowing that our young people, what they need is access. And what we got to see over the summer was that we launched 17 successful classes at the height when we began to see that in many neighborhoods, crime began to go up. When we also understood that our young people, since the month of March, were not in school, were not engaged. And what we have been able to offer our young people for the past few years has been our model. It's a curriculum that we've developed. It's culturally relevant. It is an opportunity to give our young people not just a voice, but for them to begin to think through and plan. If COVID has been another thing, as they explain it, that has debilitated their families and their communities. What is it that we can do to ensure that once we're over this chapter, that they are not left behind? And that has been my commitment, the commitment of the organization. When we look at history, we begin to see that this is not the first time that our young people have been, academically behind because of whatever are the challenges that are happening systemically. But I think that, as an organization, we've been so deliberate and so thoughtful in understanding that it's not lip service, that our young people are the future. They really are the future. And as you said, Daren, typically we get to see the bad news, not necessarily the good news. And it is, and when we look at our young people, when we say good news and how they have been able to move past the burden of potential incarceration to make academic success and to gain access to employment, that is like one of the most powerful stories. And I'll stop there because you can see that I could keep talking about young people.
Well, you're on it. I'll just ask a couple questions. You can give me the answer. How about that?
Why
But we,
not?
we can work it out. Not a big thing. But talk to me about access, because one of the things that you don't have all the time is access to opportunity. We have done similar shows here. We talked about the summer youth employment program and job cuts that don't give young people the opportunity to really hit the streets and be able to do something in a positive and a productive manner. Talk to us about access for youth and youth access as you see it.
Absolutely. So when we, once again, when we go back, to history, and when we look at, the United States and we see unemployment and that our youth are underemployed, and we get to see that in the past 10 years, summer jobs have been in a decline, for our young people. When we begin to understand that our young people, they need, as you're saying, resources, our organization has been so deliberate in really cultivating some of the best, business sectors in New York City, some of the best nonprofit in New York Cities, some of the best, companies that they will act as a site, to develop our young people so that they could become interns. And we have a long, long list of really great, organization and business sectors. And I want to specifically, talk about COVID and where I believe that the organization is going in the next 2 years. When
Mhm.
we entered, this virtual platform, we also understood that businesses were suffering, but it was an opportunity to once again bridge our young people and businesses, so that they can gain access to employment. One of the biggest things that our young people began to do was, understanding how is it that they improve our social media network, our website, how do they begin to solve problems within their communities. And what we got to see, as I said before, that we launched 17 classes, and right now our young people are doing extraordinarily well. And when I think about the vision, of the organization and where, I plan, to take it in the next 2 years, it is to make sure that our young people are not just, productive, but that they have a place in the workforce. We're talking about 15 to 19-year-olds, and these are teenagers who we're seeing at this point in time that they are getting ready for their adult, path. And it becomes extraordinarily important for me to understand what opportunities are there for our young people. So I'm excited, to know that the organization is supported by, the Robin Hood, by the Power Fund. So many people have really, endorsed the organization. Most recently, the NBA also did the same thing. And when I really carefully see, where are we as New Yorkers, and more specifically as people who are serving young people, we understand the urgency and our moral obligation to ensure that our young people are not left behind. And as I said before, we do it through ensuring that our young people are not involved in the criminal justice system. And that's a big lift, right? That's a big ask.
Right.
And then also that they are making academic gains, and that all of our young people have access to employment.
Share with us a little bit about the impact, because obviously your organization has done some great work in terms of impacting the lives of young people. How do you feel the impact is being carried out in the lives of them as well as parents?
Mhm. Well, that's a great question. In terms of impact, when I begin to see, what is happening, we're a very data-driven organization. So we get to see the trends, we get to see, what is happening, in New York City, how we're servicing our young people, what can we do to improve, and what are the areas of our absolute strength. And what we have seen over the years is that the number one referral are young people who graduate and they are referring their friends. And that is a testament to our work. That is a testament to our staffing model. That is a testament to our curriculum. And then also where we place our young people when they are interning. Literally we're a youth-driven organization and we're listening to them. Where is it that they want to go? If they want to become, a musician, it's like this is New York City. If they want to become an artist, we have a lot of art galleries. If they want to become attorneys, we have a lot of law firms. And when we understand a young person who is at risk of, or who is jail bound, and they have the burden of potential incarceration, you could only imagine once a young person's sentence is reduced from a felony to either a misdemeanor or vacated, how much of a burden that we took away from the family. I
Right.
think that when we understand, how nuanced and complex our system is, and I think that a lot of times, people are thinking, it's like, what is the big thing that the organization is doing? It is exactly what you're saying, Daren, understanding what is it that a suffering mother may be going through or a suffering dad, getting potentially psychologically prepare and sending their young people away to a detention facility or to prison. But you imagine the spirit that comes to life when a young person's trajectory is reversed. And then all of a sudden, what they're talking about is education. What they're talking about is liberation, understanding the real risk of entering the system. And then also that they have money in their pocket, that they have a way to contribute, to their families. And of course, every family is different. Every family has a very unique, set of circumstances. But what is universal is that level of freedom, which you can't buy, right? You cannot buy, but seeing it over and over and over again, so many families saying, not just in the 1 year that our young people are with us, but the many years out, saying, my young teenager, now an adult son or adult daughter, is doing well. It speaks to our model, it speaks to our curriculum. It says a lot that we have, really thought through what does it mean to have community suffering. And then, we're looking at it more closely now with COVID. What does it mean to have families at this point in time who are suffering? And it's, as our young people say, now there's another layer of pressure. And it's a privilege, to be working with not just Exalt staff and our board of directors, but also other people who are carefully thinking through the future of our teenagers.
Mhm. So talk to us about what's going on in the future. Obviously, the work continues. COVID impacted you as well as everyone else. How are things going? What do you see happening in the near future, given the midst of as we're navigating through this pandemic?
Yeah, so what I see in the near future is really, at Exalt is a thriving opportunity. We're seeing it immediately. We are coming together actually this week, to plan out our strategic plan, which is, as we call it, going deeper in our work. I have been in the fields for a long time, and I've never seen, anything like this, that the courts are shut down and that we have young people with, pending, court cases. And it is our goal that our young people are not going to go deeper into the system, but that they're going to advance and make specific, progress academically. This is another big one for our young people. We've seen that they have been, left behind, but we haven't left our young people behind. And in March, when we come to see, it's going to be the spring. And in the next few years, in the next few months, the school closes, for our young people, but we have been able to support our young people academically. And, I will say that one of the biggest and most impressive opportunities is that we are helping our young people graduate from high school. They're going off to college. The organization is now forming a formal scholarship opportunity for our youth, so that they have access, to funds so they could go off to school. And then, of course, employment and internships, for our young people. We're now here in New York City. We're getting ready to go back into our ways of working. And what the future really holds for us is that we will be working with more young people throughout New York City. We have seen a substantial increase of young people coming in from the Bronx. And I would, reinforce and say that, it's a thriving future, but it will be the future where we will we will begin to see what does it mean to have young people who are at the center in creating a better response and a better future for our society. And that to me is exciting.
Yeah. So if people want to get connected, what do they do if they want to get connected to the work that you're doing?
So very easy. Look us up at www.exaltyouth.org. You will easily find us. You will begin to see that our youth are at the center of everything. There is a tab if you want to refer a young person to our organization, or if you want to host a young person as an intern, or if you want to support the organization and fund us. There are many ways, for you to literally get a hold of us. We're based in Manhattan, 17 Battery. But right now we're virtually, we have a hybrid model. Of course, we're also in the office, but I think that the easiest way is, to find us online.
Yeah. Well, Gisele, we got to leave it there, but thank you so much for coming and being with us here on the Social Justice Forums. The great work that Exalt continues to do, and hopefully we'll have you back. You can talk a little bit more.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Enjoy your day.
All righty. Gisele Castro, our guest here on the Social Justice Forums.